Hello, this is Ariadne Rainbird. Today I'm talking about the wild rose. There are a few different varieties of wild rose. The main ones, the Latin name is Rosa canina or dog rose, and the Rosa arvensis. It is not represented by the ogham, but the old Irish word mucor means rosehip and modern Irish is ros. Its planetary correspondences are Venus and the Moon, and its elemental correspondence water. And in the system of the tree calendar that I use, it governs the months of June to July, the lunar month that would be in June to July. The rose tree esbat is the full moon corresponding to the hay moon, rose moon, mead moon, herb moon, wheat moon and claiming moon. There are 14 different species of rose native to Britain, the most common being the dog rose, Rosa canina, and the field rose, Rosa arvensis. Other native species include the sweet briar, Rosa rubiginosa, and the Sherard's downy rose, Rosa sherardi, and the burnet rose, Rosa spinosema, also called the white rose of Scotland, which has pure white flowers and nearly black hips. Wild roses, unlike most varieties of cultivated roses, have a single layer of 5 petals. After flowering, all roses, both wild and cultivated, produce an edible red to orange, red, or in the case of the white rose of Scotland, almost black hip or berry, which is very high in vitamin C. The seeds within the hips are covered in tiny irritant hairs which can cause itching on contact with the skin. The hairs need to be filtered out prior to consuming rose hips, which can then be made into a syrup. Archaeological finds suggest that rose hips were eaten by people as early as 2000 BCE. The hips also provide food for mammals and birds. The flowers are an important source of nectar for insects. Wild rose flowers have a mild, sweet fragrance. They flower in May and June, and the red hips ripen from August onwards. Wild roses can often be found climbing through hedgerows or at the edge of woodlands or on scrublands and grassland. The field rose grows to around 3 metres in height and has weak trailing stems. It has thorns which are sparse and hooked. The flowers are always white. It may be found in hedgerows, woodland, margins and scrubland, and is common in England and Wales and is occasionally found in Scotland. It's a fast-growing plant and the flowers have a heady scent. The wild rose, or dog rose, typically grows up to 2 to 3 metres in height and has arching branches with sharp thorns. The flowers range from white to vibrant pink or red in colour. Another name for the dog rose is the briar rose, or witch's briar, due to the folk belief that the flower has magical properties and can bring love, luck, good fortune and protection. One piece of folklore regarding the briar rose is that throwing a handful of petals behind you will thwart vampires if they're pursuing you, as the vampire will feel compelled to stop and count the petals. A dog rose planted on the grave of a vampire will also stop them rising from the grave. The dog rose was also thought to prevent rabies if one was bitten by a rabid dog. The hips were said to protect against baneful magic. The fairy tale of Briar Rose was the original Sleeping Beauty story. The princess's castle is surrounded by thickets of wild rose while she sleeps, until the prince fights his way through it to awaken her from sleep with true love's kiss. The Rose Maiden appears in various guises in European fairy tales, and in the story of the same name, the Rose Maiden emerges out of a rose tree in the woods, bringing all the sweetness and beauty of all the roses in the world in her face. Once kissed by a mortal, however, she is unable to return to her tree and marries the prince, thus becoming a princess instead. Such stories have led to conjecture that the various rose maidens in fairy tales are symbolic of a European folkloric figure who is a guardian spirit who protects the forests and other wild places where wild roses grow. She is generally depicted as a maiden garlanded with roses. If you encounter the Rose Maiden, you will be blessed with inspiration and creativity, and also a greater appreciation of the wonders of nature. Rose symbolism occurs in myths and legends throughout the world, as well as on coins, coats of arms, flags, banners, seals and inscriptions. At the ancient Greek site of Eleusis, the rose symbol is carved in stone as a symbol of the mysteries. Roses are associated with the mysteries and with spirituality and spiritual purity in many different cultures, and are also often associated with purity and love. In alchemical symbolism, the rose is a symbol of the esoteric, and the rose cross represents the union of spirit and matter, and the quest for spiritual enlightenment. The many-petalled rose, like the lotus in Eastern traditions, also symbolises the unfolding of consciousness and the spiritual path, each petal representing a stage on the path to enlightenment. In Hinduism, roses are offered to Vishnu and to Krishna. In one version of the birth of Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity and the female power of Vishnu, she was created from rose petals. Ornamental roses come in many different colours, and different colour roses are offered to different deities. In Islam, the heavenly paradise is described as a rose garden, symbolising ultimate bliss and divine beauty. In Christianity, red roses have been connected with the blood of Christ. In ancient Greek myth, roses are sacred to Aphrodite, and white roses in particular are offered to her. White roses are said to have formed from the foam when Aphrodite first rose from the sea. Likewise, roses are sacred to Venus in Roman myth. There is a story that Flora, the Roman goddess of spring and of flowers, begged the gods to turn the body of one of her beloved nymphs who had died into the most beautiful flower, the rose. Other gods then added to the characteristics of the rose, with Venus giving it beauty, Dionysos giving it its sweet fragrance and nectar, the three Graces giving it their charm, joy and splendour, Pomona giving it the fruit, and Eros giving it its sharp thorns. However, I've not found any ancient source for this story, and it appears to first have emerged in the 18th century Romantic poetry traditions such as Henry Phillips' Floral Emblems. Cultivated roses come in a large variety of colours, and there is a language of roses where each colour has a meaning. Red roses symbolise passion and love, whereas white roses symbolise purity and peace. Yellow roses can symbolise happiness and a sunlit heart, but can also be associated with jealousy. Pink roses symbolise love, joy and adoration. Rose hips can be made into jams, jellies, sauces and beverages. The petals of the wild rose can be used to dye fabrics, yielding a range of colours from pink to purple. The thorny branches of the wild rose are strong and flexible, which makes them suitable, after removing the thorns, to be used in traditional crafts such as basket weaving and wreath making. Rose oil is prized for perfumes and for skin care. Rose water is used in various recipes, particularly in sweets such as Turkish Delight. Wild rose petals can be used to flavour lemonade and used in salads and in baking. Rose hips are high in vitamin C, and rosehip syrup can be used as a nutritional supplement and for colds and flu. Rosehip extracts can boost the immune system, improve digestion, and are anti-inflammatory. Rosehips contain anti-inflammatory compounds which can help to alleviate the symptoms of arthritis. Rosehips can help protect the skin from damage, support digestive health, and improve joint health. Rose petals are calming and soothing to the nervous system, can be used to nourish and hydrate the skin, and poultices of rose petal infused preparations can be used to promote healing of wounds and minor burns, reduce inflammation, relieve pain, and soothe skin conditions such as eczema and rosacea. Rose essential oil can enhance mood and improve well-being. Wild rose flower essence is good for people who have accepted all that life has thrown at them and given up the struggle for fulfilment. Wild rose helps us to reawaken our interest in life and to regain a sense of purpose with increased happiness and enjoyment. Roses can also be used in divination. Rose in a reading can mean spiritual awakening, purity, and the presence of the mysteries in your life. It can mean an increased contact with the divine and a time of personal transformation and focus on spiritual matters. It can mean harmony and peace. Rose can also mean love and romance and a focus on the emotional life. When working with cultivated roses, each colour has its own meaning. Red signifies love and passion, black symbolises death, hatred and goodbyes, orange symbolises desire, yellow symbolises joy and happiness, but also jealousy, pink symbolises romance, devotion, joy, gratitude, appreciation. White roses symbolise purity, peace and harmony. Roses can be used in love magic and herbal charms to attract love. Rose can enhance feelings of passion and talismans can be made from rose to attract love, romance and affection. Roses are also associated with spiritual transformation and the mysteries, and can be used in rituals of high magic where transformation of the self and experience of the divine is the main aim. Roses can be used in magical work aimed at emotional healing, spiritual transformation, personal growth and connecting with the mysteries. They can also be used for protection and cleansing to clear negative energies. The thorny branch of the rose can also be used for binding spells or to keep a lover from straying. Blood magic can be worked by pricking one's finger with a rose thorn. I'm now going to read a prayer to the wild rose spirit, and I'll follow this with a wild rose meditation, which can be performed wherever you are, but it is even better if you can find a wild rose growing nearby and sit with it. So to the wild rose spirit. Spirit of the rose, we call to you, for love that is pure and ever true. In the hedgerows wild and free, you grow and blossom with mystery. O spirit of the wild rose bright, guide us with your purest light. With petals soft and fragrance sweet, you make our weary hearts complete. O spirit kind of wild rose fair, in your presence none compare. You symbolise love's gentle grace and nature's beauty soft embrace. You chase away our deepest gloom with beauty that shines in every bloom. O tree of the mysteries profound, in you is spiritual awakening found. O rose of deep unfathomed love, connecting us with powers above. The mysteries of the heart and mind, in your essence peace we find. Yet amidst your petals fair, thorns remind us to beware. Your sharp thorns the mysteries defend from those who approach with impure intent. In autumn your blood-red berries bright hold healing powers and strengthening light. O maiden of the wild rose tree, with you we're wild, with you we're free. In your essence we find our place, a world of wonder, joy and grace. O wild rose spirit, hear our plea, may we embrace life's mystery. So I'll now read the wild rose meditation. If you can, it's good to find a growing wild rose and sit with it. If not, you can imagine sitting by a rose bush. And begin by drinking a cup of rosehip tea or a little rose water, or infusion of wild rose or edible rose petals, or take a few drops of wild rose flower essence. Say a prayer to the rose spirit and settle down to meditate. Close your eyes, take in a deep breath, breathe out any tension, and imagine a white mist forming around you. The mist swirls around you and thickens until it obscures your vision completely. Rest in the mist as if in a cloud, and feel yourself floating in that cloud, in that white mist. And allow it to transport you as you float to the realm of the rose trees, and feel yourself softly landing on soft earth. And the mist begins to clear. And as the mist clears, you see yourself by a hedgerow or at the edge of a woodland with a wild rose bush growing in front of you. You notice that the rose bush is in blossom with delicate white or pink flowers. You can smell the aroma of the flowers. Sit and feel the peace and tranquility that the rose exudes. Listen to the sounds of bees buzzing as they sip nectar from the rose blossoms. Ask for the blessings of the rose spirit. Wait for her appearance. You see an ethereal figure emerging from the rose thicket. A maiden, crowned with a circlet of rose blossom, and dressed in a creamy white flowing gown. In her hand she holds a single white rose. Greet the rose maiden respectfully and accept the gift of the rose that she holds out to you. Hold the rose to your heart and feel it being absorbed into your heart centre, filling you with a spirit of peace and well-being. Feel your soul and heart opening up to divine love, spiritual influence, and to the creative powers of nature. Feel the wonder and awe of nature and all the life force around you, feeling its power and its delicacy. The fine balance and harmony which can so easily be disrupted through disrespectful and harmful actions. Feel inspired by nature. Both with creativity and the appreciation and desire to work towards protecting our natural world. Let the power of nature and the compassion of the rose spirit fill your heart. Feel yourself glowing with a gentle light. Now thank the rose and let the image fade. saying goodbye to the rose spirit. And the white mist begins to encircle you once more, getting thicker and totally surrounding you and obscuring your vision again. And you feel yourself once more floating in the white mist, as if in a cloud. And feel yourself floating as the white mist transports you back once more to the mundane world. But knowing that you are bringing the gifts of the Rose Maiden back with you. You feel yourself landing softly to the place where you began, and the mist begins to clear. And when the mist has cleared, spend some time reflecting on the experience. Then write it up in your journal or magical diary. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. And for more on the sacred trees with more meditations and prayers, check out my other videos, but also check out my book, A Year of Sacred Trees. Thanks for watching.